Atenção para o toque de 5 segundos para mais uma transmissão ao vivo.
Hello, dear friends. Welcome to another episode of Spirit Tongues. We are happily here together to study the Gospel according to Spiritism, where we reflect chapter by chapter and seeking not only to understand Jesus' words, but also how to live them and apply them in our daily lives. And today we're going to talk about this chapter that I love a lot is love your neighbor as yourself. So we will talk about treat others as we would like to be treated. So let me ask you something. Have you been treating yourself the way you would like to be treated? And have you been kind to yourself, or have you been your own harshest critic? Because the way we treat ourselves, the way we love ourselves, is how we deliver also our emotions, our treatment to whoever is in our side. So for us to start, we're going to read a gospel passage that talks about the Pharisees. And they heard that Jesus silenced the Sadducees, and they gathered together. And one of them, a doctor of the law, asked him a question to test him. So they were all the time bringing up new strategies to test Jesus, to try to find a reason to kill him. So he asked, Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And Jesus answered him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So in the Gospel according to Spiritism, it is written that to love the neighbor, to love somebody else, we have to love ourselves first. We do for others what we want others to do for us. So this is the most complete expression of charity. Before I take any action, I would put myself in the place of that person and think, what would I like someone to do to me if I were in the same situation? And here something very deep begins in these words of Jesus, because how am I going to love somebody else if I do not know how to love myself? If I do not take care of myself? If I do not forgive myself? So if I don't look at myself with mercy, how am I going to sustain this with someone else? So I ask you, have you been taking care of your mind, of your body, of your soul? Or do you put this action to external things? So sometimes we expect things to come from the outside, but in order to be raised in vibration of love, we need this to come from the inside, from our inner care. This is the basis, this is the foundation for raising our love frequency. So because the level of love we have for ourselves is the limit of the love that we are able to offer to others, Jesus points this as something so important so that we can develop our love. So when I can look at my potential, when I can seek to develop myself, I will also develop others better. So when I look at my mistakes with mercy, without sinking into guilt, but taking responsibility by my actions, I become more compassionate toward the others' mistakes too. And when I take care of my mental health, of my physical body, that is also very important. Usually, because we are in religion, we do not take very good care of the body as the mind, but is usually is also very important. So the more I take care of my mind, of my body, the more I become available to serve. So self-love is not selfishness, it's a basis, it's a fundamental basis for evolution. And the gospel also brings this very interesting moment where the Pharisees set a trap for Jesus, and they ask about taxes. Should they pay taxes or not? And they are trying here to put Jesus in a contradiction. And Jesus responds, hypocrites, why do you test me? And then he says, render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. And so look how deep this is, right? He showed them a coin and said, give to Caesar the things that are Caesar's. So Jesus, he's fulfilling his material obligation, his duties, but his heart, his conscience, his connection belong to God. So here is something very important about loving your neighbor, because to love does not mean to agree with everything. And you see that here in this passage, Jesus calls the Pharisees hypocrites. And we can ask ourselves, did he love them while he was calling them hypocrites? Yes, of course, yes. But love does not mean to submit yourself to everything. Here he noticed that they were testing him, so he put it a limit. So to love is actually to act with consciousness. The more you love, the more you are capable to act with consciousness, understanding what your actions will lead to, predicting what your actions will lead to. And let me ask you something. How many times do you confuse love with pleasing others? How many times do you remain silent when you should guide, when you should set a limit like Jesus did here? He loved, he was the love on earth, but he also corrected. And he corrected very formally, right? Because he called them hypocrites. So he was looking actually at their behavior. He was exposing an error. And this is not actually lack of love. This is truth. So this is true love. It's love that sees what the Spirit needs at that moment. So Jesus had this full awareness that the Pharisees were in error. And so if he would put himself in their places, what would he want for himself? He would want somebody to come to him and to point out that he was doing a mistake. And that's why he does this for the Pharisees. So do you have this courage for doing this, for loving with truth? Because sometimes we do prefer a comfortable kind of love. That is love that does not require transformation, that does not require confrontation. And sometimes many people think that love is only peace and light and beautiful words. And if we do this all the time, we will just ignore so many things that need to be improved. So true love for another is having flexibility. A love that is pure is an intelligent love, an adaptable love, a conscious love. So somebody who really loves like Jesus did knows how to adapt to needs um, of the immortal spirit. He was looking at their mortal spirits and thinking, what do they need now? They need a correction. And so he said himself that he came to bring the sword. He did not come to bring only comfort. And this sword is a separation, right? We can think that the sword cuts, it separates what's right, what is wrong within us. So to love is to have the courage to bring the truth and to look at the other and to think, what does he or she need? And not only to please, to say what they want to hear. And also in this passage, Jesus talks about the neighbor. And we can ask, who is this neighbor? Is it only our family? Is it a religious group? Is it our nation? And of course not. The neighbor, it's the whole humanity, the whole universe actually. And the Spirit Lazarus tells us that the law of love binds all beings. And also Samson tells us that we must love all without distinction. And so here I bring up this point again about the way that Jesus treats the Pharisees, because Jesus loved everyone and he also loved the Pharisees. They were brothers and there was no exception for this love. But this doesn't mean that he treated everyone in the same way. So he knew how to act according to the evolutionary stage of each one. So he did not condemn anybody, but he saw everybody as brother, and he had this conscience that love does not mean that he wouldn't set boundaries. So he corrected, he confronted when necessary, because love is also to see the error and to not pretend that it's there because you want to help that person. So in this context, sometimes love will mean that you will give a hug, but sometimes it means that you will stay silent. Sometimes you will be present in somebody else's lives, but sometimes if it is a toxic relationship, love will mean distance. Love can be to welcome somebody, to say beautiful words, but sometimes love can be to correct somebody that is doing a mistake, say whatever needs to be said to call a hypocrite if that's needed. And that's consciousness, that's love that is conscious. And Emmanuel tells us that so that we love more, we need to overcome selfishness. And Jesus is our highest example of love on earth, because even when he was in extreme pain and he was concerned about others around him, he was concerned about taking care of Mary, of John, comforting Livia, Demas. So we look at this, it's a beautiful, it's an exceptional level of love. Even if you're hurt, you're able to care of somebody else. You're not crying for yourself, but you're caring about others. And in contrast, we have Pontius Pilate with who washed his hands So his posture was of somebody who says, why does it matter to me that Jesus is being punished? What do I have to do with my brother, right? So this is the contrary of love. And in this sense, we can replace what does it matter to me with what can I do to help the other evolve spiritually. And this doing is sometimes a plate of food, is sometimes clothing, a conversation, a hug. Sometimes it's a correction, or sometimes you just stay silent. You will step away, because love can manifest in many, many, many ways. This is about having discernment in love. So, my friends, we have reached the end of today's episode. It was a pleasure to be here with you, discussing more about love. And here's an invitation for us all to begin within, to love ourselves, so that we may increasingly overflow this love outward. And in the next week, we'll be commenting the same chapter in French, continuing our mission to spread the gospel to all people. And now we're going to move to our moment of prayer. So if you wish, you can place your water to be fluidified. You can close your eyes and let us together connect with God. Lord Jesus, in this moment of silence and reflection, we raise our thoughts to you, thanking you for the opportunity to reflect and grow. Teach us, Master, to love, but not a superficial love, not a love of words. Teach us conscious love, love that transforms, love that corrects, love that embraces. Help us begin with ourselves. Take care for our soul, forgive ourselves, rebuild ourselves, so that strengthened we may better serve our brothers and sisters. Remove selfishness from us and awaken in our hearts the right question: what can I do to love myself more and to love others? May we be instruments of your love in every word, in every action, and in every choice. Bless our water, that it may receive your energies of peace, balance, and healing. And may we continue to become more conscious, more loving, and closer to you. Stay with us today and always. So be it.
Não esqueça de curtir o vídeo, se inscrever no canal e ativar as notificações.